Black Ops 7 is making a lot of last-second changes, it seems, changes that the player base have been begging for years, and it's become clear how desperate they are, either the developers, the publisher, or both, for people to return this year. I mean, the Call of Duty game actually listening to player feedback? Wild. Now, I'm not saying these changes are why you should go pre-order the game or anything. In fact, I'd argue that several of them coming after the beta launched is a pretty good reason to not pre-order. We won't truly know if this game is good until it releases, and enough pre-sales will tell them that they don't need to improve the game anymore. But this is a good sign for us. So, today, we're going to talk about how Black Ops 7 desperately wants us back. So, like I said in my first thoughts video on the Black Ops 7 beta, I fully intended to skip out this year. I mean, I typically like Treyarch games, but Black Ops 6 was just okay at release. Managed to somehow feel worse over time, and 2 Black Ops games in a row felt downright suspicious. One of them had to be rushed, right? And so you'd assume that would be the second one, since there was only a year between the two, you know, only a year between Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. It's like, how did a single developer make a Call of Duty game in a year? That doesn't seem like a good sign. Well, it was revealed that they were developed simultaneously. Ew. But Black Ops 7 has had, presumably, an additional year solely being developed. That's good, I think. I made a video on why Black Ops 6 is brain rot, and I had 6 points, and I'll get back to those points in a bit. But most of these points seem like they don't apply to Black Ops 7, which is great for us. Most of us anyways. I know some of you love your brain rot. But cutting down on the brain rot can really only mean one thing. Maybe it has to do with Battlefield 6 coming out this year, or it might have to do with dwindling player counts. But for whatever reason, Black Ops 7 wants you back. And I'm mostly talking about multiplayer here, but I will have a section on zombies toward the end. You can check the comments for timestamps to skip to if you don't care about the other stuff. Some good news came out while making this video. Apparently, non-disbanding lobbies are returning. This is a great change that will make the game feel more like classic Call of Duty titles where people could somewhat get to know their teammates and enemies if they want to. It also makes it more interesting going up against someone you've matched with before. Maybe you need to avenge yourself from a bad match, or maybe they're proving to be better than you first thought and you want to shatter their hopes and dreams. Either way, it's something a lot of us miss, so it's good to see it return. So the first point I made in Black Ops 6's brain rot, and a massive reason I feel like Black Ops 6 was rushed, was the maps. I've talked a lot about this already, but the maps were bad, with many people speculating they were AI generated to some extent. And given the game's use of AI and calling cards and other aspects, I'm certainly not ruling that out. The smaller maps were too small and clearly weren't thought out for how they play on 6v6, and the larger maps were cluttered in bizarre ways. Whether big or small, they felt off for one reason or another. Outside of Skyline, Black Ops 6 is one good map. So far, all of the maps we've seen in Black Ops 7 have actually been surprisingly good, with my only complaint being that they're all roughly the same size and fairly formulaic. I like variety, but medium-small 3-lane maps are certainly the fan favorites, so I get it. Anyways, these maps aren't too small, the cover feels meaningful, they flow well, they have interesting elements like rotating set pieces and varying elevations in the lanes, and they look great. They're the kind of meticulously handcrafted maps that we used to see in the Black Ops series. Now, I've seen some people complain about camping spots, but I think the camping has to do with other factors, not the map design itself. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to make a video on why camping is unfortunately back in Black Ops 7. So my second point was movement, and like I said in my video, Black Ops 7 isn't like Black Ops 6. There's a lot more weight, especially with things like crouching and throwing grenades. Basically, if you want to crouch, it's going to take a fraction of a second rather than happen instantly. This slows down the overall movement just a bit without lowering movement speed. It's not a perfect fix, but it does require at least 2 brain cells rubbing together to move around efficiently. And while some people will hate this change, it will be friendlier to low skill players and extend the skill ceiling for high skill players. So a net positive, I guess you could say. My third point was about the perks. I'm still not the biggest fan of the perk balance, since a lot of it is the same as Black Ops 6, but the new perks and specialties don't seem to exist with the goal of breaking streaks in mind, at least. New combat specialties cut down on the use of recon was nerfed, assassin seems to be nerfed, and we even have looper, which actually encourages streaks. Black Ops 6 really hated streaks, it seemed. And a lot of that was seen in the perks, but the community loves streaks, so this was one of those aspects that made the game less fun without the average person even noticing. People would still do well overall, but get their streak shut down by someone spawning around the corner with recon. But again, because they did well overall, they just wouldn't notice. But the devs knew what they were doing with the perks in Black Ops 6. My guess is that they were trying to cut down on streaks, even if it made the game less fun, because of rage quitters. Essentially, the less rage quitters, the more people actively playing your game, and the more eyes you get on microtransactions. At least that's my guess on why they seem to have hated streaks so much in Black Ops 6. My fourth point has to do with live service design. They've already announced that skins going forward are going to be somewhat more grounded, with the cancellation of some brand crossovers they had, and Black Ops 6 skins no longer carrying over to Black Ops 7, which was initially the plan. That may seem small, but it's actually a really big improvement in this aspect. I can't imagine how much money they're giving up in the short term, but I know it has to be a lot. And I know there's going to be a few people mad that they can't buy a Family Guy skin, but I'm pretty certain at this point that the audience that dislikes that kind of thing is larger than the audience that likes it. There's no way both Call of Duty and Battlefield would advertise on having more grounded skins unless there was more money in having grounded skins. And given that the people who buy microtransactions end up spending several times the price of the game on average, that means they have a good reason to believe that they're losing pretty massive numbers of players over this issue. But probably the biggest kicker has to do with my fifth point: skill-based matchmaking. Odds are you've probably heard about this by now, but open playlists are going to be the default. That's right, the effectively no skill-based matchmaking playlists aren't just included, they're the default. Meaning that's what the majority of the players are going to play, even the ones who don't know what SBMM is. This is the kind of change where you know Activision never wanted to have to do this. It will absolutely eat into their microtransaction sales, as bad players won't feel as incentivized to run to the in-game store. It's the clearest evidence that they're desperate for people to even buy the game this year, let alone spend extra. And that benefits us, which is why you never pre-order. I don't even recommend pre-ordering for the beta and canceling. Just straight up don't pre-order. Okay, now my sixth point had to do with Playtime, and it's pretty irrelevant to this video. The whole point of this point was just to support the other points anyways. But my theme of the video is that Treyarch seems to want us back. They're desperate like Infinity Ward was after Infinite Warfare flopped. And unfortunately for them, that seems to be a good thing for us players. They only seem to care what we actually want when they're not sure if we're coming back or not. Sounds like an unhealthy relationship. But now for zombies. Okay, we established that multiplayer seems to be going in the right direction. They desperately want multiplayer players back. But zombies players? Well, they do want us back for sure. You can tell by them remaking Transit, sort of, or whatever they're doing with that. I'm just not sure they're trying that hard. I mean, for one, Transit, of all of the maps, look, I like Transit because of like nostalgia reasons, but there's a reason it wasn't exactly loved on release. But second, Van Dorn Farm was weak, like extremely weak. Even for it being a throwback to Black Ops 2 survival mode, where the point was just to survive for as long as you can, it was weak. Survival mode in Black Ops 2 could be a lot of fun, but it was fun for one reason. It was pretty brutally difficult. Surviving for like 10 minutes on a survival map was actually a bit of a challenge. The hardest thing about Van Dorn Farm was staying entertained for that long, even with the Rampage inducer. Also, Pack-a-Punch was weirdly disappointing so far. Another aspect that made Nuketown survival interesting in particular was that you could test all the guns Pack-a-Punch fairly easily. I mean, getting to 5k points wasn't nearly as easy back then, but I'd still say it was easy. And seeing the new names and attachments or hidden effects the games would get was interesting. Now that you can bring your own attachments, all that's left is hidden effects. For example, Black Ops 6 had some moderately interesting effects on some of the guns, like the SVD shooting 3 pellets per shot when Pack-a-Punched. It definitely could have been better, but I reviewed all of the guns available in the Black Ops 7 beta, and maybe 2 of them did anything unique at all, and they weren't particularly cool or interesting. I honestly think at this point, each gun needs some sort of additional effect to make it interesting, like the Mustang and Sally. They already do have additional effects on certain guns, like the Razor 9mm's hipfire accuracy, but it's very random which guns have them, and they're typically something that's not that interesting. But I'm gonna stop ranting about that. The point is, I said point again. From what we've seen, zombies isn't looking too hot. But I think Treyarch realized pretty late in development that the players were serious about skipping out this year. That means they could only change so much, right? It's easier with multiplayer when a lot of the complaints were things that could be effectively flipped off like a switch, like skill-based matchmaking or Recon's wall hacks. It's a bit harder with zombies, but one thing they are doing is adding what they call cursed mode, which is really just playing zombies by the original rules. But that's exactly what a lot of us want, so it's actually a great thing. Like I said, surviving in zombies used to be a challenge, and a big part of that was that you didn't spawn in with body armor, an assault rifle, and some doohickey that shoots electrical explosions every now and then. Cursed mode starts you with the pistol, removes body armor, limits you to 4 perks, and other changes to make it like classic zombies. It's a shame we didn't get to see it in the beta. And yeah, I am certain it was tacked on last second, and it's because they desperately want us back. But what do you think? Do you like the changes made to multiplayer? Is Cursed mode enough to bring you back to zombies? Do you even plan on getting Black Ops 7? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more, but that's it for me today, so yeah, see ya.
You want to shatter their hopes and dreams.